And welcome to our premiere edition of South Texas Consumer. This is Attorney Joe Flores reminding you to join us each and every week right here on KTMV, Channel 6, Time Warner. Special thanks to Don Humberto, celebrating over 50 years of broadcasting, and my prayers for him, a recovery because he is in the hospital and our prayers are there. And for my good friend Carlos Lopez, the Ted Turner of broadcasting, who is making all this happen, and our biggest sponsor, God. Without him, nothing is possible. With me today, I have the distinct pleasure of bringing on my good friend and consumer watchdog, Tommy, the assassin of bad credit, Holbein. And we're going to be talking about how your credit score matters, how it affects each and every buy and transaction you do. Welcome, Tommy.
Joe, nice to see you. Thank you very much.
Tommy, go ahead and tell me about your background a little bit. For those of you guys that have not heard about Tommy, the assassin of bad credit, Holbein, let me tell you, he has helped thousands of people here in South Texas and nationwide. And we're going to be talking about credit because he's best situated to do it. Now, Tommy, let's start out. Why do you help people out with their credit?
Joe, that's a great question. The reason I do what I do is because I understand the importance of the credit score for the consumer. That score dictates the structure of your house loan, the interest rate on your car loan, whether you get approved or declined at Conn's or the furniture store. That three-digit number is so important for our daily lives.
Now, let me ask you this, Tommy. You were talking about that three-digit number. Now, let's talk about the credit bureaus, and we're going to talk about that, and True Credit. We're going to talk about freecreditreport.com, your favorites to talk about. And we're also going to talk about what people can do to better their scores. Now, remember, everybody out there, disclaimer, the conversation we're having here does not constitute legal advice. Mr. Holbein is not an attorney, but he does help people with their credit. So keep that in mind. If you want a specific legal question, contact the attorney of your choice. But anyway, with that being said, let's talk about the credit bureaus. Let's break it down. We've got 30 minutes here, and we've got a lot of ground to cover, so tell everybody about the three credit bureaus and how the scores differ.
There's Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Each one of the three major credit bureaus have their own formula used to create your credit score. Now, take this into consideration. It's a private formula. They don't disclose to the public how they generate your credit score. They will tell you there's 200 description characteristics that are involved in calculating your credit score, and they complicate it as much as possible, but you will not see all three scores the same because each bureau is independently owned and have formulated their own way of calculating your credit score.
Well, let me ask you this. If they don't report how they get your credit score and you can't basically find out how, and three of them give possibly different scores, then how does the consumer combat that?
Great question. The best way to combat that is to order your score directly from the credit bureau and question their methods and procedures on how they came up with this score. People with good credit, Joe, should have a higher score than what's being reported because the software that is used to create your credit score is riddled with errors. 71% of the credit reports or the scores out here today have some type of error that prevents them from having the score they really deserve.
Well, you know, I mean, that's a great point. But the bottom line is that once people order the scores, I mean, and we're going to be putting up the numbers as things appear and this whole show is going on, the number to each credit bureau is going to be appearing, and also the number to contact Tommy, the assassin of bad credit, Holbein, is going to be up there in case you have more questions or you want to work on your credit score. Remember, consumer rights here in Texas, we still have great laws in the books, and we're going to be talking about that too. We've got a little bit of time before the break, but let me ask you this. All right, so they order their scores. They come back and it doesn't look or doesn't seem like, hey, there are so many errors. Those 71% you were talking about, what can they do about that?
Well, they have the right to dispute the information and challenge it under the Fair Credit Reporting Act and the Consumer Credit File Rights under state and federal law. they have the right to investigate, request research, and it's whether they do it or not.
You got a Gordon's Jewelers that's, not picking on Gordon, but if you got a Gordon's Jewelers late pay, credit card that's, 9 years old, does it stay on the record?
If it's not challenged, absolutely, and it can actually be transferred or sold. People need to understand a one-time 30 days late that shows up on a trade line on the credit report, Joe, even after the balance is paid off and the account is closed, that one-time 30 days late will continue to be factored into their score, haunting their score, preventing that score from being what it really should be, even though the account's been closed for 6 or 7 years. That's the problem with the system. When you have 59 payments on time,
right,
and one shows up late, the account's paid off, you're still being prosecuted for that one time 30 days late because it's reporting as a description characteristic. That's one of the description characteristics that are calculated into the score. So their software that creates the credit score is designed to pick up these characteristics. Late payment history, scheduled payment amounts, your debt to income ratio on revolving credit. These are different things that it is designed to register for your score. So can it be removed? Yes, it can. Yes, it can. If you have a one-time 30 days late on a closed account, can that account be reversed from an adverse account to satisfactory? Yes, it can.
Well, I appreciate that, and we're going to take a brief break. You're watching South Texas Consumer, a news show right here on KTMB, and we're here with Tommy Guns, Tommy Holbein, the assassin of bad credit. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about how to help fix your credit score and get you back on being debt-free when we come back.
Tommy Guns, the assassin of bad credit, wants to thank all of his customers across the nation and right here in the great state of Texas. Impact Credit Group USA has worked to make a difference in the credit scores of thousands of people nationwide. You too deserve the best credit rating possible. Impact Credit Group USA specializes in investigation, credit counseling, and credit score solutions. Call Tommy Guns at 361-334-4212. Let the credit mistakes of the past be washed away by Impact Credit Group USA. Call today.